Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of So Recently. I'm here with my regular co-host, Miranda.
Hello. Hi.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. We haven't recorded in a while, as per usual, but this time we wanted to come back with a little bit more energy and some exciting topics we haven't discussed before. So, Miranda, do you have any experience going down a mountain in the snow?
Specifically a mountain? No.
A
I was gonna say,
slant, a
I've
slope.
I've walked down a mountain in the summertime, but I've never tumbled down in the snow. But for a hill,
Okay.
yeah, I've tubing, skiing,
A little bit of stuff.
snowboard,
Yeah.
I
Okay,
guess.
winter sports.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Well, I have a little bit of experience skiing, but I wouldn't say it's something I do super regularly, and I have very little
same.
experience snowboarding. And so we actually invited two fabulous guests to join us today. One who's a returning guest. James, do you want to say hello?
Hello, James.
He's my fiance.
Hello,
now.
James.
Last time
Yes,
he was
this
my
is Miranda's
boyfriend.
fiance.
Thank you for having me back.
To show the passage of time, you can
Yeah.
see the difference if you're a longtime listener. And so James will be talking a little bit about, I think snowboarding is kind of your area of expertise. And then we also, you may, if you're a regular listener, have heard us complain about him, say mean things about him, but we're happy to have him join us
All
today.
true
It
things, though.
is
Not just mean, but all true.
all true, not just mean, some nice,
Yeah.
some positive. It is Brian. Hey, Brian, how's it
Hello.
going?
Good. Yeah, I think at some point we got to circle back to the D&D one-shot episode, and I got to defend myself on a few of those points that were made, but, that's for a later day.
Yeah, you tried
yeah.
already. It didn't work.
Yeah, it's not that episode, Brian. So move on for a little bit and talk about whatever you're talking about.
Breaking the kayfabe a little bit off pod, Brian basically admitted he had no idea what his character was called, even though he was so locked in. So
I had to pull up his character sheet.
yeah, so I don't know if that's going to be something we'll discuss today, Brian, but you can save your defenses for another time.
I'll be ready for the next round.
Okay, you guys have a little bit more experience, I think, than both of us do with winter sports. I know I skied a little bit growing up, but I was always a swimmer in the winter season, so wasn't something I did super regularly. But yeah, I don't know. James, do you want to talk about it a little bit first, and then we'll kick it over to you, Brian? So yeah, like, what's your history with snowboarding? Have you skied before? Did you ever go out with family, or was it like a thing that you picked up with friends? Kind of, what's your history with it?
Not a super exciting story. This is the first time I ever snowboarded was on a family winter vacation. We all went to Steamboat Springs, Colorado, and I think I was 12 at the time, maybe 13 or 14.
Okay.
But my parents offered me a choice. Do you want to ski or do you want to snowboard? And being the cool guy that I am, I chose snowboarding because it looks cool.
Yeah.
It's true.
That's
Snowboarding
true.
does look cooler than skiing for sure.
So yeah,
Yeah.
but much of my early experience was just, on the mountain in a snowboarding class all day sort of affair for 4 or 5 days when we were there, and then a little bit of afternoon time trying to put to practice what I learned, like in front of my parents, trying to show off.
Trying to show what you could do. Yeah.
Trying to show off, yeah.
What did you do to show off?
Not fall.
Okay.
Respect. Yeah, that's fair. I used to skateboard a bit, and that was kind of the prime objective when you're on a board, so I get it.
Yeah. For a while, just it took me a long time to learn how to turn properly. So me showing off was basically just trying to figure out the weird sort of subtle motion in your feet to make your board turn from heel to toe. So it took me like several years of trying to really sort of get it down. And now that I know it down, my knees hurt because I'm old.
So it never learning didn't necessarily translate to better snowboarding now that you're older and it hurts.
Oh wow,
But
yeah. The skiing you can do at any age, but snowboarding I think generally is considered to be a younger man's game.
I can believe that.
yeah, for sure. I think Brian, you have experience a little bit with both, right? I know you're more of a skier. I've skied with you in the past, but I know you do a little bit of both, or have in the past.
Yeah, a little bit. I dabbled in snowboarding. So one of my first jobs in high school as a ski instructor, they offered a pay raise if you got qualified to like teach the intro snowboarding lesson. So that was kind of the incentive, was like, all right, I'll try to figure it out. And then it was like a 50 cents an hour pay bump or something like that. So
Classic high school job.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So I just kind of tool around at like the local hill, and I'll like throw a snowboard on every now and then, but not doing more than like a green or a blue with that thing.
Okay. So you just threw out, I would say, as this is kind of a beginner hobby podcast, you just threw out a green or a blue, and I feel like I've probably gone on a green or a blue, but I have no idea what that means. So why don't you clarify for listeners what you're talking about?
Yeah, sure thing. So when you go to a ski resort, they'll rate the runs based on their difficulty, and that can be steepness or if there's like obstacles in the course or anything like that. So a green circle is like kind of the easiest beginner level. It's like pretty shallow and not a lot of obstacles, if any. And then blue squares are kind of like your medium, so a little bit steeper. And then you get into black diamond, which is more of like your expert runs. At some of the bigger like out west resorts, you'll have like a black diamond that is still like groomed. So they'll have big machines that come and like get all the snow nice and flat for you to run on, but it's still super steep. And then you can go up a level in that and get into the double black territory. So that's where they're like not grooming the terrain. It's all like kind of gets skied out, really bumpy, and there's a bunch of trees and it's super steep. So that's kind of like your expert kind of level run. So it's just how you get an idea of, you're about to turn down this run, like how hard is it going to be for you to get to the bottom.
Yeah, it's all signposted, like you're following a map.
Okay. Now I know, like, you both have a little bit more, because I've done skiing in the past and I have snowboarded, but not well, so I won't claim any sort of skill with that. But I have typically done just like more local runs, so like going to like the nearby ski slope or maybe a little bit further out, but I've never been on like a mountain. So I guess in your experience, I'm assuming you're just going to say it's way better, but what would you say is the appeal of skiing on like a mountain versus like a regular hill?
You want to go first, James?
Sure. My second snowboarding experience ever was actually in the Twin Cities at Buck Hill.
Oh.
Okay.
I would say the major differences to me were that the rental board I was given didn't have true bindings. It was like a clip-in snowboard.
The step-in ones.
Yeah. Something I didn't know existed until I tried it, so it was a lot harder on the ankles. I was still trying to learn how to turn, so getting that level of freedom was like a very strange difference to me. It was also very icy, but I don't know if that was the deal with just the particular day we were there or the way they make the snow. I don't remember.
Yeah, I was going to say, because, at least in the mountains, for the most part, I'm assuming they don't have to make their snow.
Yeah, correct.
Like here, they, we'll get some snow, but then there's snow machines blasting. And
oh yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, I could see it being icy. From what I remember, I remember skiing in like, what did we go to? Where did we go in like elementary school? We went to one of the hills over here.
Was it Afton Alps?
That was Afton. I remember that more than anything. Just that one particular time we went as a class.
Yeah.
And I did skiing, even though I wanted to do snowboarding, but all my friends did skiing, and I wanted to hang out with you guys. So I was like, all right, I'll do skiing too.
Yeah, I don't know. As someone who like skis casually once a year, twice a year at most, and hasn't really done it in a long time, I do sort of feel like skiing is the more casual friendly hobby, at least as far as like what are you going to dip your toes into if you're just thinking you'll do it every so often.
Oh, for sure.
I think skiing's easier and requires less upfront skill, I guess, to really make it work. Like I've tried snowboarding and it's hard, and I feel like the couple times I've done it I fell so much versus skiing, like you'll fall but you won't fall quite as regularly.
Oh yeah,
I would say
on the slopes you would see people aged like from 3 to 4 year olds all the way up to geriatrics cranking on just any difficulty slope because it's so manageable, I would say. And like honestly, so, like Brian, your son is old enough to probably start skiing if you were to get him out to a mountain.
Yeah, we've tried it. It hasn't gone great so far, but we're gonna keep going with it. Yeah, and I think that's kind of I feel like that's kind of a prevailing like piece of knowledge, especially with like when you talk to like ski instructors and stuff. Skiing is way easier to pick up. So like if you're gonna go and you're not sure, if you're gonna stick with it or whatever, you just kind of want to get your feet wet. Skiing's a lot easier to learn right away, but it's a lot harder to get like really really good at. Whereas snowboarding on the other end of it, it's kind of a higher barrier to entry. But if you want to start expanding to like go to the terrain park or something like that, it's a little bit easier to get like good, like really good at snowboarding.
And you look way more badass.
Yeah, and it looks cooler.
I feel like you can look cooler on a snowboard quicker, and even if you can do the tricks on skis, it's never going to look as cool, even if it's technically more challenging at times, just because you're operating two pieces of smaller wood versus, or polycarbonate or something, versus there's more opportunities for failure and twisting wrong and everything.
Yeah,
but
I mean, you have your legs are separated, so there's that. So that comes with its own challenges, I'm sure, especially if it's icy.
Yeah. Do you feel like, so something you were talking a little bit earlier, Brian, was like the different levels of black diamond or blue circle or blue square. Do you feel like in the mountains that those like mean different things versus like a typical ski slope? Because I feel like at Afton when we were skiing back in the day, it was like, oh, this is a black diamond. It's like, well, is it really?
It's all relative to the mountain.
Relative, right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll even see variations between resorts like out west too. But yeah, kind of I guess circling back to that other question about like difference of Midwest skiing and snowboarding versus going out west. I think Midwest is like a great place to learn. It's all really easy terrain. The pricing of it is relatively like way cheaper than trying to go out west and learning something. So it's a really good place to like pick up the sport. I think though once you get to a certain point, like if you've been in it for a year or two, you're going to be itching for something more. And that's if you ski around in Minnesota or Wisconsin or something, you're up and down a run in less than a minute, and it's just not a lot of slope to explore, and the degree of difficulty is nothing close. If you ski a black diamond, at Afton, it's going to be like maybe a fifth of a section of a blue square at like Keystone or Vail or something that you'll see out in Colorado. So it's just like next level stuff. So definitely, I think, Minnesota, Wisconsin area is like great to learn, but you're just going to be left wanting more and want to take a trip out west at some point for sure.
I can believe that.
I imagine that's the big barrier. And like the thing I found is the big barrier, I think, as someone who only does it semi-regularly, is the cost. Both at, like, obviously the resort level is going to be expensive, but even just like locally, I think it's an expensive hobby, which all are to some level.
Yeah, it's expensive, especially if you don't already own your equipment. So you have to rent the equipment, and then you also have to get like a lift pass, and like it adds up really quick.
Yeah, Vail Resorts owns a lot of the major ski slopes in Colorado, and they tend to crank up the prices pretty badly, from what I understand. Just being a kind of a semi-monopoly. So yeah, you have to really be committed to going if you're gonna get those.
Yeah, that's the cost thing is definitely like a huge barrier to entry. I was super fortunate out the gate and finding some like ways around that. Like Play It Again Sports has some really good used equipment. Local ski swaps are a really good place to get like used gear for a decent price. Still not like super cheap, but a decent price. Mm-hmm. And then the other side of the sport or hobby too that maybe isn't like talked about as much is the you call it like backcountry skiing, and it's a little bit more of a little more equipment you got to buy on the front end. But then you're taking out the lift pass aspect of it, which is like such a massive part of the cost. And then it also is cool because you're getting into some terrain that like not many people go into, and it's not always necessarily like super challenging terrain all the time. It's just like no one wants to walk up the hill or the mountain instead of taking a chairlift up. So that comes at a cost too. But you get a little bit of exercise, and obviously
Brian?
It's like
I'm sorry. This is a podcast about our favorite way is going down a mountain. You're telling me you could walk up a mountain with skis?
Yeah, absolutely you can.
Bruh.
You can do it on a snowboard too, believe it or not. I don't know if James dabbled in that at all.
Have you done this?
Wait, James, can you just like waddle up? Do you just waddle up a mountain on your snowboard? Like, what do you? Huh?
I mean, I have waddled before, but not up a hill.
Yeah, are you speaking from experience, Brian? Have you done this a bit?
Yeah, I've gotten to do a good amount of backcountry skiing. Yeah, at a few different places, and then I've been on some trips with guys that have they call it a split board. So it's like a snowboard, and it splits in half the long way, so you can like take it apart. And then they have these things called climbing skins. So it's like on one side of this, like, it looks like almost like a big snake skin that's like shaped to the bottom of the ski. And on one side is like really sticky glue, and the other side is like this funny feeling carpet. And on the carpet end, you know, you slide your ski or half of your snowboard up the snow, and then it doesn't slip back down. So it kind of lets you like climb up the snow that way. But really cool, kind of an up and coming thing, at least in Minnesota. There's a project up in the Boundary Waters area that's starting they call it a hut system. So it's like they'll be making these like structures along the north shore of Lake Superior, and you can backcountry ski from hut to hut, and there's like little runs that you can ski down in between. So really cool, and again, a very like beginner friendly kind of thing. Like if you go to the resort a couple times and you kind of figure that out, it'd be a great way to dip your toes as a beginner into the backcountry world, and then again like take that out west once you kind of get good enough and more comfortable. So cool way. Again, like the equipment cost up front is a little more because you need to buy like the ski skins. The ski setup is a little bit different, but you're not having to pay for a $200 lift ticket every time you want to go, you know, ski at a resort. So kind of a cool way around a little bit of the cost.
That does sound cool. I feel like I've never heard of that, to be honest, so it's cool that you brought it up.
I've heard of splitboarding, but I forgot about it, but that does sound cool.
Yeah, and so explain the split boarding. Like, how does that work? It's splitting into the long way.
Yeah, so the board, it's got like, it'll have like clips in the middle. Yeah, and so it splits, you know, like the hot dog way, and then the bindings will turn, like you'll be able to like twist the bindings. So you're basically walking on a pair of like short skis to get up the hill.
Oh, okay, the bindings twist, because I was thinking like, wait, how are they?
Yeah.
Okay, I get it now.
Yeah, the bindings twist so that like your feet are facing forward, and it basically looks like you're walking uphill on a pair of like shorter skis, and then you can get up and then just do the process backwards at the top, and then you snowboard down the run. So
cool.
That's
it's
cool.
a lot of fun, and it does look cooler than skiing coming back down. I hate to admit it sometimes, but I can't deny it.
Yeah, do you ever feel, I guess on either end, James or Brian, do either of you feel like, I wish I did this one instead? Like, I wish I was a snowboarder and not a skier, or vice versa?
Not really, because I think I can still just pick up skiing whenever.
Well,
Sure,
okay,
so
but that's just it. Like what you said, like skiing is kind of like any age.
Yeah.
So like snowboarding is like the young man's game, and then it's like, all right, I'm too old to snowboard now because I'm old and my knees hurt. Time to ski. It sounds like it's just a natural progression, or you're just lame your whole life and you ski, like Brian.
Ouch.
Yeah, well, I'll defend Brian a little bit because I also am a skier, but
Well, yeah, same,
not regularly.
But like, you know, not really. I don't remember the last time I skied.
Yeah, it's been a while for me too. Do you wish you did snowboarding, Brian, or do you not really care?
Sometimes, yeah, like when I'm watching like Big Air at the X Games or the Olympics, which are going on right now, pretty cool. Then
Yeah.
sometimes like, oh man, that'd be cool to just huck a rodeo 540 on a snowboard right now instead of, you know, trying to figure that out on skis. But skiing has its advantages for sure, and I think if you're good at it, you can make it look cool, but it takes a lot more effort.
Yeah, it also, it just seems like that the barrier is, or the like, there's like a skill like wall that you hit, I think, more than snowboarding, where you kind of progressively, I would imagine, get better, whereas like you can get good at like just skiing down slopes, but I think there's like a wall that you hit where it's like, okay, but are you going to try and do tricks, because that's going to require another few weeks, runs of like falling over, hurting yourself, etc., before you like get to that level where you can maintain it. Whereas I think snowboarding, like, I assume you can pick it up a little bit quicker to do the tricks.
James, can you do tricks?
I cannot do tricks. I tried to do tricks when I was learning, and I was just not having it. But I think you have to actively be engaged in trying to learn how to like do the tricks. Like they're only in a small section of a mountain is where they have like their boxes and their rails and their, if you're lucky, maybe they have a pipe. But you have to be willing to walk from the bottom of that little section back up to the top to do it.
Sure.
Because from the ones I've seen, they're in the middle of a very long run, and you'd have to, if you wanted to ride the ski lift up to the top, it would take you a long time to restart, so you have to be really committed to it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like at Afton, at least, that was kind of how it was set up, where there was like a couple terrain parks, but they were like more at the end of runs, which you could just walk up, but like it's kind of like a decent walk back up, I guess. So there's kind of a weird middle ground where like, could you take the lift or not? But you don't do any tricks, you said?
No.
Or like not really?
No, I do not.
No.
Yeah, I think too that's also like one of the things where it's like you probably don't pick that up later. Like that's like you either do it early on or you probably aren't going to add that in.
Yeah.
I think at least for like the Midwest crowd, with the lack of mountains and being like once I would say it only would take like a season or two to really max out what we have here in the Midwest.
Yeah.
So like that next level often I feel like becomes hitting the terrain park, because that's just like that is like a totally new level, I think. And it's cool that opportunity is there, but it's definitely a little scary to go over that edge and try that stuff out.
It's almost like a branching pathway, it feels like, where you either get better at skiing downhill really fast or snowboarding downhill really fast, or you learn the tricks, it sounds like.
Yeah.
There's a lot more technique involved with or it's two different like sets of techniques when it comes to riding in backcountry between trees and like through moguls and things like that versus trying to figure out how you're going to approach a rail, or like how you're going to kind of set up and grind or do your grabs or what have you.
Yeah, actually, I skied with a buddy in college a bunch who we kind of diverged paths, just like James kind of laid out. I tried to go the more like skiing through harder terrain and stuff, and he stuck to the park features. And it was interesting going skiing together because we kind of try to do a little bit of both. And when we went into the side country or the back country or something, it was like I was able to get down the hill a lot faster, but we went to the terrain park and I was completely out of my element, but he was like really good at a lot of stuff.
I think that's also very interesting that you could have the same hobby but completely different.
Yeah, that is kind of cool.
Different focuses, different skill sets.
Yeah, I didn't think about that because like I said, honestly the last time I think I've been skiing was the time my ski fell off my foot on the chairlift. And I had to get off the chairlift with one ski and then ski/scoot halfway down the hill to get my ski.
I was there for that, wasn't I?
I think you were, because I think Nick's dad was a chaperone.
Yeah, that was for our field trip, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you've skied since then, Miranda.
Have I? I honestly don't remember.
I've been out with you before. I remember going back in the day, and I think Brian was giving you like a lesson essentially because you hadn't done
he
as
was
much,
mad at
and
me.
he had learned how to teach.
You're right. No, you
and
were
I
mad at
went
me.
out with Dale and we snowboarded because I was pissed because you were getting the attention and me and Dale were just falling on our asses the whole
No.
day because Brian was like, "I'll help you guys, I promise."
I was being kind of the worst because I wanted to just go straight down the hill instead of do the zigzags, and Brian was like, "You can't do that," and I was like, "Watch me." And I just remember you being like, "Well, how are you going to stop?" I'm like, "I'm going to fall over." you didn't like that.
I mean, I guess it's effective.
It worked.
I had a couple friends, I feel like there's always like somebody who's like a little into it. So I think my friend Matt Illa growing up in high school was able to teach me how to do like the standard stops versus like the pizza stop that everyone learns while skiing. And so like I'm very thankful for that because I feel like you don't really lose the skill.
But there's one way to find out. I should go skiing because it's been since probably that last time then.
Yeah, the last time I think I've been out was maybe 3 or 4 years ago with you, Brian, and your brothers.
It's like riding a bike.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was like riding a bike. I felt like it came back pretty quickly, although it was completely icy. Like the whole hill was just ice. So that sucked, but
Well, hey guys, it just snowed here, so I feel like we should go hit the Afton Alps and go skiing/snowboarding.
true.
Fresh Narbras.
Yeah. Yeah, and for breaking a little bit of context, we were going to record all of us in person for this podcast, and the snow actually prevented that, so that's why we're all, if you couldn't tell, popping in and out on mics as we're working through our virtual setup. But yeah, James, do you still go pretty regularly? I guess I know Miranda mentioned it, but I wasn't sure how often you're snowboarding.
Very rarely. The last time I did it was January 2023. 4, which was like right after I met Miranda.
Was it 2024?
And then before that was like,
what year is it now?
whatever the January after we first met. But before that it was like, who the hell knows? Maybe college.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of when we moved. It's
Same time.
Putting pieces together to figure out the timeline. But Okay, so it's been a little bit longer.
Yeah, it did feel like riding a bike to me though. Picking it up this time when I went to Winter Park with my dad and my brothers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like it didn't take long to remember how to it didn't take long at all to remember how to feel comfortable turning and all that stuff. But boy, did my thighs ache at the end. My thighs and my shins, they were in great pain. So
You weren't necessarily physically ready for it.
No.
Versus the even if you're able to do it, yeah.
no, but there was a hot tub at where we were staying, so it made it worth it.
Perfect.
It's a good way to do it.
That sounds
That's
great.
nice. Yeah, I've always had like the typical like local hill experience, and so yeah, the hot tub didn't really exist. The food always kind of sucks, and like I would really like to do a resort at some point, just because I feel like yeah, the like local hills are fun for a little while, but the price and the familiarity of the hills once you've done them enough, I feel like does kind of wear thin.
Resorts are cool.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's just beautiful being in them. Like, I've gone to, like I said, Steamboat Springs and Winter Park, but I did like a college or a high school senior trip to Breckenridge once. Like, my family's been to Aspen in the summer. It's just like I love mountains.
Yep.
Like, it's crazy.
Mountains are great.
I love those things.
Yeah, just kind of like the nature, the like just being outdoors element of it too is kind of nice.
For sure.
And it's not something that I think you can pick up either one hobby, like you can pick up snowboarding, or if you're looking like for something a little bit easier on your bones, like you can do skiing, and it's not necessarily something that's going to be too hard to learn. I think skiing especially feels like you can pick it up pretty quickly. But well, do you guys have any, I guess, final like fun favorite stories of skiing down a mountain, or a particularly interesting happening that happened with friends snowboarding?
I've got a funny story if James doesn't have one yet.
I defer to Brian.
Go, Brian.
So sometimes it's popular to maybe bring a beer or two out on the hill with you.
Sure.
Yeah.
So living in Albuquerque, my roommate and his girlfriend, we all decided that we were gonna go skiing at a resort that was nearby. We stopped by the liquor store ahead of time and got like loaded up with shooters and beers and stuff, and then headed up. She had never skied or snowboarded before, so we immediately like took her to the bunny hill, and it had been a minute since either of us had been on. I decided to go on a snowboard that day, so like I was not the best at doing what I was doing, so we were like trying to help her down the mountain, and then all of us started wiping out, and out of our jackets just pours all of this booze onto the run, and we're scrambling trying to pick it all up with all these poor families just trying to have a nice innocent day on the ski slopes, and we're just being belligerent stupid newbies out on the slope. So that was pretty entertaining to watch us all like chase stuff down the hill.
The fact that you went to the bunny hill, I think, is really what's the funniest part. It's like, this is clearly where all the kids and the families are. Let's go there.
Yeah.
Ah, booze.
Whoops.
Was it like spilling, or did you like have cans rolling down the hill?
It was all rolling down the hill. Yeah, it was pretty
God.
entertaining. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Good times.
It's a shame. You can pick it
That's
all back
pretty
up.
funny.
So nice. How about you, James? Have you thought any more about your fun fave story?
I can't really think of anything in particular. I mean, I remember one time I do have a good story.
Lay it on us.
My brother and I were at a ski lesson, and we were taking a break on this run, just kind of sitting around. And I think my brother Andy had to take off his bindings to make a small adjustment, and he accidentally let the board go,
Oh no.
Oh,
and it just started going down the slope full speed. The instructor was like hopped up on his board, not even entirely bound in himself, like he had one foot out, and he hunched down and he full speed like bombed the hill and managed to grab the board
whoa.
and like come to a stop before it like disappeared into the woods. It was crazy.
Close call.
Yeah, it was.
That's awesome.
Everyone was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, I feel like I remember like back as a kid, like seeing like someone teaching you do something really cool was always really
Yep.
impressive. I remember this is not the same thing, but taking piano lessons, and every so often there would be like a thing where multiple of the people who took lessons with my piano instructor would like come to her house and like like do like a whole workshop, and I just remember her being like, yeah, like so you can do this and this and this, and then just like completely play something wonderful on the piano, and I was just like, oh, that's so cool. And so kind of similar scenario where I imagine it's like the most hype thing ever as a kid to see this all happen, and just someone just resolve a thing really quickly.
Someone who's like the master at the skill that you're interested in doing it is like, it's so fun to watch. It's it's inspiring.
Yeah. On the other side of it, the one story I can think of is probably we were like 17 or 18 at Afton, and I went off a little jump that I'd been doing the whole day. It was kind of like one of those side runs at like local hills where people kind of go around flags or around rocks and stuff, and so it kind of forms a path. And I went off this little jump, and my right ski caught, and my left ski didn't. So like completely like twisted, rolled a bunch, like wiped out pretty hard. And our friend Nick was going down the hill past me and looked over just laughing his head off. And I'm just like sitting there, and then Brian, I think you did stop, and you're like, dude, are you cool? And I was like, yeah, it was a hard fall. So. But I just remember that like distinctly is Nick like cracking up as he was passing me, and I was just like wiped out, like skis, poles everywhere. Yeah, it's not surprising for anybody here, I imagine. But well, cool. Well, thank you guys both for sharing a little bit about your hobbies. I know it sounds like it's been a little bit for all of us probably to be on a hill, so maybe at some point we'll all have to go out and do something again.
Always.
Yeah, I mean, James knows this, but I'd like to do some snowboarding, so I need somebody to take me out and teach me how to snowboard.
For sure. Well, I'm down.
Cool. Brian, you can come too, since you have some experience.
Or you can ski, you know.
No, I want to snowboard.
Yeah, I'll stick to skiing.
Look, I want to try snowboarding. We've established that skiing I could do whenever. I'm still somewhat young. Okay. I want to try snowboarding.
Speak for yourself. I'm an old man.
But you could be the first to make skiing really cool, you know?
I could make snowboarding really cool.
True.
That's true.
I'm an old man, so I will be skiing.
Yeah, you're the youngest here, but okay.
Yeah, but I feel like...
Matt.
But I do. I fall hard and
you do have a long way to fall
since I'm so tall.
Yeah, that's true. I don't have far.
So,
I don't have far to fall, so I think I'll be okay.
That is true. well, awesome. Well, yeah. Thank you both for spending some time to join us, and Miranda, thanks for joining me again for another episode of So Recently. For our friends who are listening and our fans, we will hopefully have another thing set up in the future, and maybe Miranda and I will finally make this a more regularly recorded podcast. But
I would love that, man.
But tune in to find out, because so far we don't have a good track record. So
we'll keep you waiting.
Yeah. So with that, thanks again, Brian. Thank you, James, and we'll see you all next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.